Today on the menu is this holiday pot roast, and it is absolutely loaded with roasted and tender root vegetables and savory mushrooms. That is just a really nice way to change up the main course for holiday dinners. As much as I like a good roast turkey, it can get a bit boring every now and again, so let's get into this recipe. First up on the agenda is trimming the chuck roast just to take away some of the sinew or connective tissue as well as a good majority of the hard fat. Just make sure to buy a chuck that has decent intramuscular fat so you don't have to worry about it becoming a little dry. Hard to do, but can happen if very lean. Of course, whole roasting is always preferred, but if you want to speed up the cooking time, cut it into smaller chunks. Season the meat with salt and pepper all around, then you're going to sear it on all sides using a large wide bottom pan or rondeau and a splash of oil. Once the meat is seared off, transfer it to a tray and begin breaking the fennel down into wedges and roasting them off in the pan with another splash of oil and a pinch of salt until they have a really good golden brown color. Right at the end, you can give them a little char to add some smokiness to the dish with a torch or under a broiler. Next up, you're going to quarter the yellow onions and roast them in the same way, except with these, don't add char to them, otherwise you'll end up putting a bit too much smokiness into the braise. But to each their own, just something to keep in mind. Now comes the cremini mushrooms, so make sure to give them a good wash beforehand, then slice the mushrooms in half and roast them all up in the same rondeau with another splash of oil and a pinch of salt. Once they get a decent golden brown color and most of the residual water has steamed off, add in a few knobs of butter, crushed garlic, fresh thyme, and cracked pepper. Give this a good stir, allowing all the flavors to fry up and blend, then transfer it to a separate tray. Place the seared beef back into the rondeau, turn the heat up to medium, and cover the beef with water. You can also use stock at this moment if you want. Cook this for about 2 hours or until the meat is very tender but not completely falling apart. Once the meat is just about all the way there, take the lid off and you're going to ladle off the majority of the rendered fat that sits on top of the braising liquid. Then you're going to remove about half of that braising liquid and reserve it for the gravy. Now you're going to remove the meat from the rondeau and finish cooking off the vegetables in the remaining braising liquid to meld the flavors, yet also keeping them a bit individualized. I wanted to keep one of the components, in this case the carrots, a bit more pure for balance, so just chop them up right at the end of this and place them into the pan with a little bit of salt and call it good. Then you're going to place the now braised chuck roast into the broiler to give it one final caramelization and crust. While everything is finishing up, it's time for a light gravy. So add the all-purpose flour to a small mixing bowl along with some cold water. This is called a slurry, and you're going to give it a good mix with a fork or whisk until it becomes like the consistency of eggnog or the like. Then while whisking, add that into the reserved braising liquid and place that on the stove and get it to a rolling simmer until it thickens up. Once it's thickened, cook for 30 more seconds to set the bond and remove it from the stove. Season with salt and pepper to taste. Last but definitely not least is the young collard greens that will serve as a base. You can also use Swiss chard or turnip greens, but these hold up well amidst braised meat and hearty root vegetables. Plus, they're readily available in Middle Tennessee, which is where I live more often than not. Give them a rough chop and steam them in the middle of all the veggies with a good pinch of salt. The layering of salt within each vegetable addition is very important to the finish balance. Okay, so it seems like everything is ready to go. You're going to remove the now crispy and crackling tender chuck roast from the oven, place it right over the top of the braised vegetables, and it is time to serve this up. Right before you do though, glaze the top of the braise with a few spoonfuls of the braising liquid. Then you're gonna finish it off with the gravy, garnish with some fresh picked thyme leaves, parsley or both, chunky cracked black pepper, and coarse salt to finish. This meal will not only be the centerpiece of the dinner table, but might even take over the table talk for the beginning of the evening. These are wonderful flavors to enjoy around the colder months and will undoubtedly stick to your ribs in the best way possible. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit that like button, click the notification bell for future videos, and drop a request in the comments below. Get creative in the kitchen in the meantime, and I will see you soon with another recipe. Later, everybody.